What's up, everybody? Let's pick some low-hanging fruit this morning, but perhaps, hopefully, in order to elevate some people's mind state and perhaps their cognitive ability, if that's even possible. I believe it is. Now, look, I do understand that I will be preaching to the choir for the most part, but maybe, hopefully, I could present a different perspective or spin this whole thing here in a way that you haven't seen spun in before. Maybe. Anyway, I got this comment on my last video from Bobby Bob, who is a woman, and here it goes. Quote, like most women, unquote. That's what I said in the video. And that's what she has a problem with. Now, look, Bobby Bob, you're taking it out of context, first and foremost, because I said that something along the lines of most women, or she is emotional like most women, right? That's what I said. So right then and there, you're taking shit out of context and spinning whatever the hell you want to spin. Continuing. Look, most women are not vegan. Well, I never said they were. I said most vegans are women. Huge difference, right? So right then and there, you are being dishonest, right? You're not representing me as I represented myself. You're taking me out of context. And then right after that, you're flipping everything upside down because, well, you've been indoctrinated by this new age, new think, new speak. Again, I never said most women are not vegan. I said that most vegans are women, which is a statement of fact. But you're flipping everything around. You're not even listening to what I have to say. You're just having a knee-jerk reaction. And it's funny because, you know, I uploaded the video. I went to see if everything had uploaded just fine and to add some tags and stuff like that. And it couldn't have been more than 5 or 7 minutes since the video had completed processing, and it had something like 17 views and 5 dislikes, I noticed right off the bat. So I thought to myself, well, yeah, this is probably these SJWs who are probably anti-vegan but watch my channel because I'm one of those people who they're not too sure about because I say some things that for them are out of line and out of pocket. And even though they agree with me for the most part, which is why they're subscribed, they're just sitting there waiting, just waiting to be triggered, listening for anything I may say just so they could thumb the video down and move on, right? Not even finish watching or listening to what I have to say. These are my frenemies, right? Just sitting there waiting to get triggered, right? So while you seem to have a problem with me saying that women are emotional, most women are, or women mostly are emotional, there you are, right? Just sitting, waiting to get triggered and thumbing down the video as soon as you hear something objectionable, as you see it. Just basically proving my point, right? Women are emotional. Ah, what the fuck are you talking about? Thumb this fucking video down. Emotional. I'll show you emotional. Yeah, you did. Congratulations. Anyway, if you're going to, and again, this is low-hanging fruit, guys, but we will elevate in just a second. But if you're going to criticize me, please at the very least represent me correctly. Okay, have enough respect if you think that I'm lacking some for your gender, which is bullshit. But if you think I am, at the very least, hey, don't be a hypocrite, right? Represent me. Yeah, right. Look, most women are not vegan. Okay, we already covered that. And men are very irrational. Men are so irrational that you make up the mass majority of people in prison because y'all can't control your emotions and people get hurt or die when you can't. Okay. I make up the mass majority of people in prison. I've never been to prison. I've been to jail a couple of times. Just kidding. Yeah, right. So while you seem to have a problem with me generalizing, and you will go on to call that sexist, what do? Well, you go on to make generalizations about men, right? And whereas I put no value judgment on my generalizations, I never said that being emotional is bad. In fact, I think it's great that women are emotional. Like me, for example. I mean, obviously, I show emotions. All of us do. We're all passionate about something, I would hope. Unless you're vegan and you just don't have the energy to be passionate about anything. But when I say emotional, what I'm talking about is generally is your emotions taking precedence over reason, taking over your ability to think rationally, right? But emotional reactions, a lot of the times, are great, you know. And me, myself, I like to listen to what women have to say about some of the same characters in this vegan or otherwise YouTube, because they help me balance a little bit, because I know that I'm just sometimes very, very callous and mean, and I'm a dickhead, right? I'm an asshole. And then I'll go and listen to what some women have to say about, let's say, Frank Tufano, right? And even though they're critical, they soften the blow a lot. And I get to see a different perspective, and it won't necessarily change who I am, but it will definitely keep me from going overboard. You know what I'm saying? It helps me balance whatever that may mean. So I appreciate a different perspective, a feminine view of things. I definitely appreciate it, but it's also driven by emotion, right? And I would hope that a lot of emotional women who are caring and motherly, if you will, also realize that, not to go too far with that, but, listen to an asshole like myself and help them balance them, not have them go overboard to where they lose all sense of rationality, right? Yin and yang, right? I put no value judgment on being emotional. And look, I'm a heterosexual male attracted to women, and I love my wife for that which she is, right? Emotional. Yes, she's rational also, but a lot more emotional than I am, and I love that. So I put no value judgment on being emotional. I just simply stated a fact that this is how women are. And even though I didn't say it explicitly, I have in the past. Well, that's why they're able to be brainwashed by veganism, because veganism makes mostly emotional arguments, right? It pulls on your heartstrings. It doesn't make any sense. It's mostly an emotional argument, which is why effeminate men and women are mostly brainwashed by it, able to be brainwashed by it, right? And the men that aren't effeminate, they may try veganism because they believe the BS, but then they come out of it guilt-free and they're like, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? Like this, I was conned. I feel like an idiot, or I feel used and abused, and they come out of it guilt-free. Anyway, let me take a sip of my coffee. So whereas this person is accusing me of sexism by completely misrepresenting what I said, right? Completely changing, turning it upside down because, well, they're just emotional. They're just having an emotional reaction, proving my fucking point, right? I uploaded this video and I went to check to see that it had processed correctly. Everything was fine. I added some tags. I clicked on it and I saw that it had something like 17 views and 5 dislikes, and somebody in the comments noticed as much. And right then and there I thought to myself, well, these are my frenemies, people that are subscribed to me because they are anti-vegan, if you will. But at the same time, I'm a little bit too rough around the edges for them. This is all my supposition. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is. But because I say some things that rub them the wrong way, they're just sitting there. The reason why they're subscribed to me is because they agree for the most part. But at the same time, they're just sitting there waiting for me to say something out of line and out of pocket just so they can thumb down the video and prove to me how unemotional they are. Right? You're just proving my point, sweetie. Anyway, men are so irrational that you make up the mass majority of people in prison. Well, I mean, because y'all can't control your emotions. Is that why most men are in prison? I mean, some of them. And some of those emotional men that are in prison, I would say, well, they're a little effeminate, probably because they were raised by single mothers and never had that fatherly influence. Okay, so that's one part of it. Another part of it would be, well, they're probably under the influence of drugs, meaning their true nature was muted or altered by an external factor, right? Maybe perhaps making them more emotional, for damn sure, or unable to think rationally at the very least, right? And then there were those men who were just looking to provide for themselves or perhaps their families in what the state deems as illegal means. So whereas these men were rational, trying to survive in this mad world around us, they did some things that were the only ways available for them of making money were deemed by our overlords as illegal, and well, there you have it. Or maybe they didn't see a different way out of their situation, but for them, they did the most rational thing that they could, right? It's to say that all these men are in prison because they got triggered and did something stupid. I mean, well, some of them did, but you have to realize why that is, right? And I would still call a lot of them effeminate. And it's simply not true to say that. Where were the statistics that show that men are in prison because they had an emotional reaction to something? They overreacted. Where are the statistics? You made that shit up. You pulled that out of your ass. And guess what? You made a generalization about men that is, unlike my generalization of women, inaccurate and thus probably sexist, if that even exists. So you're a complete and utter hypocrite, and you can't even smell your own fucking farts. Like, how deaf, dumb, and blind and ignorant can you be, right? But that's because you're not rational. You're not thinking rationally. You're just having a fucking emotional reaction, getting triggered, and not making any goddamn sense. Proving my fucking point. I will cut the sexist talking point. There are male vegans and many ex-vegans on YouTube touting the gospel of carnivory. As men, I have to ad-lib a little bit here and autocorrect, if you will. Well, I never said there are no male vegans or ex-vegans, right? That still does not disprove what I said. If you say that, you know, most of the grass in the summer or in the rainy season is green, that doesn't mean that there isn't some dry grass left over from the dry season that just passed. Really? Like, you're too emotional to be logical. It is what it is. Thanks for proving my point. Now, let's talk a little bit more about triggered feminists, because this was hilarious. Something I saw in the neighborhood. So this is basically, for those of you who don't understand Spanish, a little flyer someone put up looking for workers in their internet company, right? Installing internet, which, just to give you some context, entails climbing a ladder, carrying a very, very, very heavy spool of fiber optic wire down the side of a very, 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 very steep mountain for 500 plus meters. That's exactly what it took in my instance to get internet here, for example, right? So it's physical labor, it's tough work, and you know, in Ecuador, because it's more of a traditional country here, no Ecuadorian woman, obviously you need to speak Spanish also, no Ecuadorian woman would want to do this job. And if there are any, there would be very, very few and far between. And people here are more traditional, and this is traditionally considered a man's job. It is what it is, right? And so they say that they're looking for two people of the male sex, literally, right? Two men to do a job. And some, woke Spanish-speaking person got triggered, crossed out masculine sex, gender, and asks the question. I'm just going to translate. Why? women don't have the capacity to work in technical areas, they literally just got triggered. But look, and I'm not saying that this is so, but perhaps, as this is the case with a lot of men in Ecuador and maybe men in general, let's assume that this company, the wife works in the office and the man, these are the owners, right? The wife works at the office and the man, the husband is out there installing the internet with a helper or two, right? He's out there doing the technical work. The wife seems pretty happy to have the desk job. Well, I can't say she's happy, but that's whatever. Oh man, that bitch grumpy. Anyway, their division of labor is as such, right? And maybe, perhaps, I'm not saying this is the case, and I don't know if it is or isn't, but perhaps her husband is a philanderer and a womanizer, and the woman who works at the office and probably typed this out and had it posted up, maybe she doesn't want her man working with the woman, right? Maybe. Yeah. It could be that. There could be a myriad of reasons why this is so, why this little flyer is the way it is, right? Because of how Ecuador is culturally, because women wouldn't really want to take this job anyway, because these people seem to think that they need a man who's strong. Like the other day, I was at a store buying 200-pound bags of corn, right? And these two women pulled it out from behind, from their little bodega in the back of the store, and they're dragging it on the floor, these two women, and they're asking me if I need help lifting it into the car, right? Into the pickup. And I was just like, no thanks. I lift the corn off the floor and I put it in the pickup. And then I grab another bag and I do the same, right? Like, this is just how it is. Sorry. Like, what do you want me to do about it, right? You want me to make these women suffer? I could have just been like, hey, bring that shit in, girl. Hurry up. I gotta go, right? Like, I should have done that. Would that have been sexist? Or am I sexist by taking that weight off their backs, literally? Because it's so much lighter for me, relatively speaking. I mean, are you just completely going to reject reality? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so I thought that was a little funny anecdote, which means it never happened, obviously, right? It's not true. But continuing on with sexism and what that actually is, and why I say a lot of the times, whether it comes to whatever ism that is being discussed, why I say that if it even exists, often following the Newspeak word, such as sexism. Anyway, according to Wikipedia, it's a prejudice or discrimination based on a person's sex or gender. Sexism can affect anyone, but it primarily affects women and girls. Okay, well, hey, isn't that sexist? Right? I mean, these ideologies contradict themselves. It just let these people talk, and it won't be but 5 minutes before they put their goddamn foot in their mouth and flip everything upside down and then contradict themselves, flipping it upside down yet again. Sexism primarily affects women and girls. Aren't they discriminating against men? Right? Men aren't affected by sexism? Sexual prejudice? They're not. Like, they're being expected. That flyer that I just showed you, right? If you could say that it's sexist against women, right? But a man could turn around and say it's sexist against them. Well, why are you putting these jobs? Why are you expecting men to do these jobs? Why can't women do these jobs, right? Like, this is why sexism doesn't make any sense. One of the reasons why. Anytime, any situation you take and you deem it as sexist, well, you could just as well say that it's sexist for women. You could just as well flip it around and say, well, it's also sexist against men, right? Yin and motherfucking yang. Do you understand what I'm saying? But no, men aren't allowed to think that they're being discriminated against, because they're not. Because that is the truth. We're not being discriminated against. We're being utilized to the best of our ability. And the same could be said for women. But when we do that to women, because we respect the fact that they're more delicate and caring, whereas men are stronger and brutish, if you will, because we respect this reality, when it comes to women, that's sexist. But when it comes to men, it's expected. No. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That flyer could very well be deemed sexist either way, which is why sexism doesn't make any fucking sense. One reason why. Sexism can affect anyone, but it primarily affects women. Well, I mean, fuck. According to your definition, you're sexist, right? So, there you go. Good job refuting yourself. Let's look at what some other dictionary has to say about sexism, just so we're not, cherry picking. Sexism. Well, same thing. Prejudice or discrimination based on sex or gender, especially against women and girls. Especially against women and girls. Okay, so let's look at my statement in light of this definition. I suppose, according to this person, I was being prejudiced against women. I prejudged women, right? As if I didn't have 41 years of experience with men and women, and as if I wasn't speaking from 41 years of experience. This is what I've noticed about women. They're, in general, not as strong physically. They're more delicate, and they're more emotionally driven, whereas men are more rational. And I made no value judgment about that, right? Because I appreciate both sides, both genders for what they are. So I don't think you could say that was prejudice. That was a statement of fact based on many decades of, a few decades of experience. Let's not make myself any older than I already am. Or discrimination based on sex or gender. Now, they want you to think that discrimination is bad, right? And vegans who are part of this new age cultish behavior, these new age ideologies, well, I mean, they're probably the most discriminatory out there, right? They discriminate against meat, any animal products. They discriminate against people who eat as such, who eat a mixed diet or a carnivorous diet, right? But discrimination is somehow bad, right? Really? So, if I don't like, let's say I don't like oranges, I prefer lemons, I'm discriminating, right? If you prefer, I don't know, tall people because you're a shorty and you like tall people because they help you, reach for stuff and access things, then you're discriminating. So there could be some situations where that happens. But let's talk about sexual discrimination. Don't all of us discriminate sexually? Well, not Frank Tufano, obviously. He'll fuck anything that moves. But most of us discriminate sexually. We're all sexist, aren't we? I'm a heterosexual male. If I am to have sex with anyone, you best believe it's going to be a woman, which goes for 99-something% of us, right? That is the case for most of us. We're all sexist, right? All these new age ideologies they're all anti-humanist. They all try to destroy that which you are by trying to make you believe, gaslight you, try to make you believe that which you are is wrong. You're sexist. And we're already seeing this happen, whether it's some tranny or a fat chick complaining about the fact that men don't want to fuck them. Right? Well, and they're calling that sexist because what is it? FTM or MTF, male to female, right? In his mind, she thinks, whatever, that he's a woman, right? I'm a woman now, so why aren't men attracted to me? Right? Because most men don't want to fuck other men. That's why they're not attracted to you. But that becomes sexist. That becomes prejudice. That becomes discrimination. Well, it is discrimination. Most men like to have sex with women. They're attracted to women and vice versa. We're all sexist according to this definition, with sexism being something bad. This is literally telling you that you're bad because you're heterosexual. You dig? So you're bad because you're eating the way your ancestors ate, which made them and us who we are. Because they don't want you to be you. They don't want you to be human. They want you to be something else. Transhuman. They don't want you to be a heterosexual because that's sexist. I really hope this makes sense. And I know it does. But I doubt most people stop and think about it for what it is exactly, which is why I say sexism, comma, if such a thing even exists. I hope you understand. Thank you. No, seriously, thank you for watching.